Welcome, everyone, to the Modern Day Overthinker podcast. My name is Collin, and I'm your host. This episode is with Carolyn Dreyer. She's a mental health advocate who has experienced depression, anxiety, and trauma. We discussed a variety of topics such as her personal mental health journey and advocacy, impact of unhealed trauma in parenting, mental health as involuntary, importance of self-awareness and boundaries, accessing mental health resources, and much more. I really enjoyed this conversation with Carolyn. She is a mental health warrior. She really wants to help people, and I really respect that. And we had a great conversation. I'm just going to get right into it. This is episode number 93 of the Modern Day Overthinker podcast with Carolyn Dreyer.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So we connected, I think, on, was it Threads?
I think Threads. Yep.
Yeah, I have been meeting a lot of people on Threads. I didn't
Same.
realize it was such a great networking app until I started using it recently. So I'm glad we were able to connect. And I know we had some technical issues we had to take care of before we got started today. Yeah, that's always fun with virtual stuff. So I
Right.
appreciate you bearing with me on that.
No
Um,
worries.
but yeah, before we get started here, wanted you to kind of introduce yourself and let my listeners know what you're doing within the mental health community. You're doing a couple things that are awesome as far as for awareness, and just kind of wanted to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself.
All right. Well, I'm Carolyn, and I'm recently a mental health advocate. Obviously, I have lived experience with it. I live with depression and anxiety. So I decided just last year it's time to start speaking out about these things because I'm like one of those like backseat supporters. Like I'll support causes and stuff like that from like the back and not really be front and center. But I was like, it's time for me to share my experiences because there's so many different experiences with mental health. Like everybody's stories are important. So because I'm a writer, a blog was like the obvious choice. Um, and I talk a lot about my daily experiences. I'm a trauma survivor, so that clearly has affected my mental health. And then I just recently started a mental health recovery podcast. It's a solo podcast right now because I'm trying to warm my way up to
Yeah,
things. But it's just like 10, 12-minute episodes about mental health recovery and specifically highlighting that you can recover from mental illness. And even if it's a mental illness that you do struggle with daily, you still can have like a happy, balanced life. So,
absolutely. And I had it up earlier. What was the name of the podcast again? 'Cause you just started it. Sorry. So
yep, no, you're fine. It's Through the Darkness, a mental health recovery podcast.
awesome, awesome.
Yeah. Not very creative with the name, but like SEO and keywords and all that stuff.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's a good name.
I might
Um,
change it later, but for now, that's what we're sticking with.
yeah. You could ask AI to generate a cool name for you or something. I'm just kidding. I've been using AI way too much. It's a good
But
thing and a bad thing.
yeah, I agree. It is very good if you know how to utilize it, but it could easily become a crutch for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I can. It helps with the podcast though, and I'll tell you why. We could talk about it more offline. Um, but it can help a lot with that. So, Um, but yeah, what made you want to get started in really sharing your story? Like, why was what was the final like itch, I guess, to say like, okay, I'm gonna start blogging about my mental health and about mental health in general.
Well, there's a few reasons. One, last year, someone that I had not met in person, but had gotten to know through social media, through a podcast called the Suffering Podcast. It's hosted by Kevin Donaldson. His former podcast partner died by suicide. And that podcast was monumental in me kind of coming out of a fog. Like it was just very inspirational. Well, when that host had passed away, I was like so deeply affected by it. And a lot of unresolved emotions and stuff bubbled up because of my own surviving a suicide attempt, my own struggles. I've been in that dark place before. And I was like, my son's getting older. He just turned 10. So that was another reason for speaking out. It was like, I have to heal this stuff so that my son doesn't have to carry the brunt of that.
Hmm.
And plus, it's like, if you don't learn to sit with those feelings, it's easier to keep pushing them away because they do come back. I mean, I have
Yeah,
feelings from probably 20 years ago that because I didn't deal with them when trauma happens or something stressful or a trigger, those feelings they were dormant, but they come back up.
yeah.
So I was like, look, lady, to myself, like we're in our
Lady.
40s, your son's getting older. It's time to stop like halfway healing. Because
Hmm.
I've been through the healing process probably, I mean, for sure since my 20s, but there were times where I masked stuff with alcohol use.
Oh yeah.
Um, I'm president of the Busybody Club. Like my trauma response is to stay as busy as possible. That's how I was able to get college degrees, even though I was surviving trauma and recovering from it. It's because I built myself, well, when we're in these stressful times, work, work, work.
Distraction.
Yeah, absolutely. So my son, the death of that individual, and just I just literally was getting sick of you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. That is
Yeah.
a real thing, coupled with probably some sort of like midlife, whatever. I was like, it's just, I'm sick of this. Like, I'm so sick of living like this. I
Yep.
need to like really fully engage. And starting that blog has been so helpful because I do so much research for it. It's research for myself.
Yeah, you
I
love
want to,
research. We talked about that earlier.
so
Yeah.
I love it. You have no idea. I will research pretty much anything.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like, I know why I have mental health struggles, but it's like I want to understand from a scientific standpoint because that really does help you understand how to come out of those things and how to recover.
Yeah. Um, it's just that awareness that you have to have. And yeah, sometimes it takes a lot. Depends on the person where you're like, okay, I really gotta like really get some stuff together or shit get my shit together.
Yeah.
I'll say it bluntly. But
Yep,
it's basically, yeah, I know how that goes. And stuff will catch up to you if you keep
it
burying it and
does.
masking, and all of a sudden it's just like, oh, how did we get here?
Yeah, seriously. That's very true.
Because I was just telling you about that happened to me last year, but I've told the story many times on the podcast already, so I'm gonna skip that for now. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so a little bit about like your history with mental illness. Um, I wanted to get into kind of well, we'll start with the depression. Is that a side effect of like the PTSD that you've experienced, or did you have that before?
To be honest with you, I do believe the propensity to there was a lot of like risk factors for me, and I really do believe I struggled with depression probably as early as middle school.
Hmm.
um I had a pretty normal upbringing. I had siblings, we traveled, I went to church, my parents are still together. It wasn't like an unhealthy thing, but I'm adopted. I grew up in a predominantly white community. I
Hmm.
experienced bullying. I developed an eating disorder. I had a few classmates pass away in high school from car accidents because I lived in a rural area. We had probably one or two students die a year of car accidents. So I
Yeah.
had a lot of unresolved grief. My grandmother passed away in high school. I wasn't dealing with these things. And so I do believe, excuse me, that the depression was always something I was probably going to be prone to. And because I didn't have enough like protective factors, those risk factors took over. I mean, there's research out there that says being adopted can put you at risk for mental illness. It can put you at risk for suicide.
Hmm.
That's one thing. Then when you couple that with bullying and certainly the racial aspect was huge and like so deep. And then the adoption part, I didn't necessarily consciously think my parents would like get sick of me and get rid of me, but I do think subconsciously that I didn't attach to them emotionally, but I do think subconsciously I did not feel like this was like my permanent home, even
Hmm.
though it was. I
Yeah.
was adopted when I was a year old. So my adoptive family is the only family that I knew. But I really don't think they had the capacity to understand that the skin color thing was huge. And so the depression was always there, anxiety. We all have anxiety in us. It's just some of us have heightened anxiety. And I definitely had that growing up. So I think I just was maybe going to be prone to having mental illness, to be honest with you.
A lot of
But it
factors.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, a lot of those risk factors. And you know, when you grow up in a family where they have not maybe addressed their own trauma or their own issues, obviously they're parenting you from an unhealed place. And I'm not saying that
Yeah.
to be like mean, but that's just what it is. They're when you parent from an unhealed place, I'm what can happen, for lack of a better way to say it. I was partying in college. I dropped out of college. I made horrible life decisions, as we all have, but I was a product of what happens when you parent from an unhealed place. And that's another reason why I want to speak out about mental health, because I don't want to parent my son from an unhealed place.
Hmm. Yeah, no,
So,
I totally get that. Yeah, and it's like a generational thing too.
yeah.
Um, our parents and our parents' parents, like
Hmm.
it wasn't a, it's still kind of, it's still kind of a taboo thing for some
Yeah.
people to go to therapy or to,
Yeah.
to even ask for help. It's like there's like a pride thing and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So yeah, I know all about that, and but I know what I've seen what it's like for people who bury it or they avoid things or kind of have regrets, and I don't want to end up being at a certain age being like, man, I wish I would have done this and this and this,
Yes.
but I didn't do it because I was scared, I got too anxious or whatever,
Yeah.
or scared of failure or scared of success. Nobody talks
Yeah.
about that. Nobody.
Right.
uh I have a more of a fear of success than I do of failure.
Same.
Um, and
Yeah.
also I'm in recovery from substance abuse as well. So like one of my things is like, man, what if I like am comfortably like I'm not doing bad financially now, but what if I like had the means where I didn't have to worry about money?
Yeah.
Like, oh man,
Okay.
that's
Yeah,
scary.
for
That's a
sure.
scary spot. It's like, uh, yeah, I don't know how I would handle that, but
Yeah.
I have talked about it with other people. That's another thing is like not letting your those like little secrets keep, yeah,
Yes.
secrets keep you sick. That kind of that
Yeah, you're
saying.
only as sick as your secrets. It's very true. It's very true.
Yeah, so there's very few things that um I don't like if I feel guilty about something or if I feel like something's off or um it's bothering me. I share it with somebody. I have
Yep.
multiple different people I can reach out to, and which is great. But I had to find those people, and
Yes.
I had to take a different path to find those people.
Yep.
But because the people that you're partying with really don't get, they don't care.
No, they don't. They don't.
I mean, but I get it. They're doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah.
So so you decided to go back to college after uh, just a certain period of time? You were just like ready to go back, or what kind of sparked that?
Well, I went I went into undergrad right out of high school.
Okay.
Um, I was sexually assaulted the spring of my freshman year. And surprisingly, I did return the next fall, but that was a train wreck of a
Yeah.
semester. That was after the suicide attempt. I had almost died from alcohol poisoning that summer.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah. I had moved out of my parents' house, so I was estranged from my family. I basically financially had to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
So that sophomore year was horrible. I ended up getting placed on academic probation. So I think I had lost my financial aid for a little bit. So I left school for several years. I returned, I don't know, mid 20s, finished my undergrad in criminal justice with a psych minor. Um, After a failed attempt to work in a juvenile detention center in Florida is how I started my master's degree. So
Wild. Yeah.
I was trying to run away from my problems. So I moved out of my home state, got a job in Florida. I spent maybe 4 or 5 days at this detention center. The first day, the kids were sizing me up. I'm 4'11", probably like 110 pounds. Most
Oh
of those
man.
kids were taller than me. So we're like walking through on the tour. Those kids are like, yeah, I know they were making plans for me. So then I'm sitting in the break room and I'm looking around and they have posters with the statistics for how often they have to physically restrain the kids, which I get that's what happens there.
Yeah.
But me personally, I know they were going to train me, but I was like, I cannot envision myself tackling a child, like even if that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I was like, I don't think this is
Mm.
the right fit. And
Yeah.
the thing about me, when it's time for me to go, I'm gonna go. I needed the job, but I'm not too proud to be like, look, this is not gonna work out.
Yeah.
So I sat in Florida for like another couple of weeks. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go back to my home state after I said I was never coming back.
Classic.
What am I gonna do? And I was looking into grad school and I accidentally filled out one of those forms where the representative calls you.
Oh yeah.
And let me tell you, that representative, I hope he got a raise because he got me enrolled into grad school. He did a really good job. He was awesome. So I got into forensic psychology. I had hopes of either being a therapist or being like a criminal profiler.
Mm.
Um, but life happened in between there. I had a really bad breakup. I ended up having my son. This was years after my master's, but after my son was about 3, I was like, you know what? I've got to figure something out for me and him because I'm not going to try to pin all my hopes and dreams on getting married. I need to figure this out for he and I. So I
Hmm.
was like, okay, let me do my doctorate program. So I did about 2 years of that. I did actually end up getting married in between that
Mm.
time. That didn't work out, got divorced. Um, yeah. So when I say I'm a product of unhealed parenting, now granted, I'm not blaming my parents for my divorce or for these relationships, but there were certain skills and things that I did not learn early on that could have been useful
Yeah.
later on in life. So I had to quit my doctorate program. I'm still reeling from that slightly because that was a huge, my identity honestly has been in academics,
Yeah.
outside of the trauma and everything. So that was a huge, huge thing. So now I'm like, what do I do with all this knowledge and all these skills? And the blog
Hmm.
materialized. So I can still kind of utilize it. Wasn't like a wasted effort by any means, but I love psychology. I love understanding why or how. I just love that stuff.
Love finding the answers.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. When it comes from a relationship standpoint, a lot of people, a lot of my listeners like to hear about relationships, at least as far as I can tell. And I'm very interested in relationships, and I've had my bad experiences with relationships and had issues, and just wondering, is there anything in particular, like, is it kind of like a you're too scared to get too close to someone, or not them to get too close to you, or is it something a little bit different based on, you said, some of those factors that you wish you had learned growing up?
Yeah, what I learned about relationships growing up was that the man is the provider. Now, my mom worked, so it was
Yeah.
like a equal household in that aspect, but I mean, I didn't see my parents fight, which I didn't necessarily expect to, but I really didn't see how a relationship worked beyond raising the kids, providing financially, providing material things. I mean, I think my parents went on dates, but I not very often. My dad, maybe he's just not a romantic person, but he didn't like bring her flowers. So I really, outside of like the basic necessities, I kind of had to fill in the blanks with relationships, which was not good because I ended up in two abusive relationships. One when I was around 19, 20 years old. That was like a physically, verbally, psychologically abusive relationship. That individual actually defecated on me after intercourse.
Yikes.
Yeah, yeah. So there was that, and then I had, multiple challenging relationships. Yes, I was not the perfect girlfriend during my 20s and 30s. However, I was not equipped to choose the right men either. I chose emotionally unavailable men because my father is that way. He's an emotionally unavailable person for various reasons. So I
Yeah.
tended to choose those type of men. Um, I met my son's father as a rebound relationship and did not take the time to get to know him before I decided to have a child with him. And he was very, very abusive, very controlling. After my son was born, in retaliation for me filing for child support, he went to the police and child services. This is when I lived in Florida. He went to them. He alleged that I had been inappropriate with his son from another relationship who lived with us, such that when the detective came, after we set up a meeting, they wanted to rule out that my son was not a product of me being inappropriate with his other son.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't know. To this day, I do not know the full details of what he alleged. When the family services worker showed up, I already knew it had something to do with him.
yeah.
And she, I don't think she was really at liberty to say, but she basically said he's
Okay.
alleging that you were inappropriate with his other son. I know for a fact he had that child lie. Um,
Yeah.
it was a nightmare. So, and then of course I shared I'm divorced. So I filled in the blanks when it came to relationships, and certainly after the abusive ones, it was hard for me to trust people. It was hard for me to see if their motives were genuine. Um, so and then when you're just recovering from trauma in general,
Yeah.
it's hard. I have a huge startle response. There's things that trigger me. So
Yeah.
it's it's hard. It's really challenging, but it speaks to the fact that you really have to work on yourself and love and accept yourself first before you can even attempt to allow someone else to love and accept you in a romantic way. Of course, for friendships, it's the same, but if you're trying to build a life with this person in terms of kids and marriage and stuff, you've got to be okay with being alone
Hmm.
and being comfortable with yourself. So, yeah, relationships, I have some stories. I definitely have, I have a lot of crazy stories, but
Yeah.
I'm here still standing. Screw all you losers who try to take me down,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I'm glad you shared that though, because there's a lot of listeners that I have that are female and right around, you know, your age and my age, like right around there. That's like the majority of my listeners. So, um, they will appreciate you being very open about that. And yeah, relationships are just, it's even more complicated now with like social media and
Hmm.
online dating. And oh my,
Yeah,
don't get me started on online dating. I could just
don't
go
get
on,
me started either.
yeah, I go on a rant.
Same. Yeah, but it's also just important to understand that we have to find a way to be okay with saying goodbye to those unhealthy relationships, whether it be family, romantic, professional,
Hmm.
friendships. If it is costing you your mental health, it's not love, it's not acceptance, it's not peace. Um, just it's hard. Like I've been in periods of life where I've been on my own because I had to kick people out.
Yeah.
When you get rid of certain people, you do whatever is in your power to keep those people away. And for me, that has meant saying goodbye to friendships, blocking people on social media and in real life.
Yeah.
And I have no qualms about it. I don't. I'm not like a bitch by any means, but once you've taken me to that point of you're unhealthy for me.
Yeah.
I can't eat and sleep. I gotta let you go.
Yeah.
I gotta let you
Absolutely.
go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Cutting ties with those people is a skill that you
Yeah.
have to learn. Like you have to
Yeah.
learn how to do that because I'm a very passive person myself, so it's very difficult for me to stand up for myself sometimes.
Yep.
And be like, look, like you're treating me like crap, like
Yeah.
this is not fair. This needs to change, otherwise we can't be friends or in a relationship or whatever type of relationship it is.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've been luckily lucky professionally. I've heard some horror stories about bosses, but I've been good there. But like as far as like yeah, romantic relationships, I've had some rocky stuff um happen, but nothing too crazy. But I also haven't been in a lot of relationships. And I there's something behind that I haven't worked on my therapist with
Yeah.
about, but it's kind of like a whole like I don't think I'm good. That's that whole I don't think I'm good enough thing,
Yeah.
um, which I continuously try to work on. But that's a thing, and also with I'm very obsessive about things and can very like psychoanalyze things. So I'm like,
Yep.
you know, you're not ready to be in a relationship. You don't fully love yourself. It's like at a certain point, like you have to. I feel like certain relationships you have to grow together. Like you have to support
Yeah.
each other because I
Yep.
don't think I'm ever gonna be 100%
Right.
fully ready. Like
Absolutely.
because there's that aspect as well. I mean, but then on the other end, you don't want to be a complete dumpster fire, like,
Right.
and be like please someone fix me. I don't like
Right.
that doesn't work. I've seen that people try to do that, you know. They try to get in a relationship to fix themselves. They try to
Yeah, no,
have kids to fix themselves, and it
no,
does not work. It's not a good
no,
idea, and
it's not.
it's very selfish, in my opinion. But people do it. And I get why they do it. Like I understand why they do it. But
Yeah.
it's
I think
that
it's like a society thing too, and like family. You don't want to disappoint your family and society. You must have a family unit. The parents must be together. You must be married. You must. Well, no, you not always.
yeah.
No.
I feel like we've been um. I don't. I see. You said you're in your 40s. I'm not going to ask your exact age because you don't ask a woman their age.
Oh, you could. I'll be
Uh,
44 next week. I
okay.
turn 44.
Okay. So we're within 10 years of each other. So
Yeah.
basically, like our generation has like kind of challenged those
Yes.
things. Like we
Those
haven't
norms.
those norms. Like you have
Yeah.
to get married by this point. You have to have so many kids by this point. You know, you have to be like in your professional career and work at a place for 25 years and retire.
Right.
Like all that stuff. It's like we don't do that. Like it's not just we're not
Right.
we don't you don't have to do that. Like that was just like the thing. And
Yeah.
it's crazy like when you go outside the norm because I do a lot of stuff outside the norm. Like I mean, I'm 35. I'm single. I own a home by myself. And I, I have a pretty good job, but I also do the podcast, talk about my mental health as a man,
Yeah.
um, and then also do stand-up comedy, which is everybody's always like, "How do you do stand-up comedy when you have anxiety?" I'm I
You
don't think
just can.
I don't think I can do it without it
Yeah.
or without the depression.
Yeah.
I would have no material. Like
Right.
that's how I've gotten through a lot of life is through downplaying it with comedy. And
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
yeah,
That's awesome.
it's when I'm actually doing a contest tonight. This episode won't release by that before that, but I'm doing a contest tonight, which is always interesting. I've done a couple of them where like they have so many comedians compete, and then there's like a first round, and then there's a final round, and so we'll see how that goes. I'm just doing it because it's like there's always a good crowd at these things. So
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for a good crowd and getting laughs. So, um, but yeah, I never thought I would do that, especially when I don't drink anymore. Like people also th
Yeah.
people also think that's unheard of. They're like, you don't drink or like you don't even smoke weed? Like no, like I don't do any of that stuff. Like I can't.
Yeah.
Um. I was not very good at it. I was
Right. Right.
uh,
Right.
depending on who you ask, like, but it just, you know, yeah. But getting back into the relationships thing, it's just like everybody has their stuff, but and there's certain things that yeah, you do need to get through before you think about bringing someone else into your life. But
Hmm.
at the same time, like I get a little bit too obsessive about like I have to have this right and this right, or I'm not ready or I'm not good enough and all that kind of stuff. So I run into that problem personally. That's something I'm working on. So or
Yeah. I can
trying to work
relate to that. I I I do just the other day I was feeling like the biggest loser.
on.
I have days like that. And there's no, I mean,
Yeah.
on paper, you would look like, oh my gosh, like why would she think that? Of course, I've not achieved like all these great things, but I've been accomplished. But I still feel like a loser, probably like on like a weekly basis.
Yeah. Same.
Or I question, you get the imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
I mean, or I feel like a day where I feel like my face looks like crap or whatever. Like I go through stuff like that too, and it's a daily thing. But when you have to look at it from the standpoint of how long it took you to get this way. It's going to take just as long, or if not a little bit longer, to kind of work with those things. We're not going to say get rid of them because me being an analytical thinker, that's just my nature. That's just how I am. Now, I do need to tame it down a little bit
Mhm.
sometimes, but the way I think about mental health and what helps me when I get caught up in like I'm not progressing enough is I just remind myself, like, girl, you've been struggling realistically since childhood. I wouldn't doubt that I started developing like survival mode type things in childhood already. And here I am in my 40s. Well, of course, I'm going to have setbacks and I'm not always going to be where I think I should be because it took me a long time to get to this point. So it's all just, you just got to be patient with yourself. And that's the thing about
Yeah.
relationships. If you're with someone who doesn't understand mental health or mental illness, they think you're choosing to be that way, or you're being dramatic, or
Yeah.
you're like a Eeyore, you're always down in the dumps. I don't wake up in the morning and be like, let me be as pissed off as possible today, or let me just cry all day. We're not choosing these
Yeah.
things. We're not. Now we choose to get better, but we do
True.
not wake up and choose our symptoms or our illnesses. It's just like a physical illness. People don't wake up in the morning and choose, I want to get cancer today, or I'm just going to go try to break my leg. You know, it's the same thing with mental health. It's not always about choices when it comes to what we're experiencing.
Yeah, that's a good point. And there's like two sides of that. Like I've ran into situations where there's people like, that are struggling mentally and they continue to struggle because they won't take the action that they need
Yeah,
to take care of it. And it's really sad, but
it is.
at the same time, like you can't allow that person to bring you down to that level,
Absolutely.
or use you as a whatever punching bag or whatever, however you want to look at it, um, bec-
Exactly.
because people will project that stuff on you. But at the same time, like you know, I'm gonna have my rough days, and I'm gonna have my rough times. Like I have to have a partner that understands that,
Yeah,
and I'm not, and I do my best to not take it out on other people, and I've done a lot of therapy, but I also at the same time it's like I'm not gonna be in the best mood, or I'm not gonna necessarily want to do this. It may take an extra push for me to do this, like
yeah,
things like that, but
yeah.
that's where just communication is the biggest thing. Like
Yes,
so important. Like it's such a basic thing that everybody talks about, but it's like I run into it at work. I run into it everywhere in my life. Like just like if there's bad communications, things are gonna go downhill really fast.
absolutely. I agree. You know, it's something that you just said is that I remember when I was going through my divorce, and I had a really good friend who was like helping me through it. And one day he was like, I'm not going down this rabbit hole with you. And I was like so offended, but you know what? That stuck in my mind. And I'm so grateful that he said that to me because it made me aware of the fact that, yes, I do commiserate and get into rabbit holes when I'm trying to vent or process things. And I'm glad that he said that. I'm like, what a jerk. Like, he doesn't know. But
Yeah,
I thought about it later and I'm so
tough love.
appreciative. Yeah, I'm so appreciative that he said that because now I'm more conscious of that and I'm more conscious of when the starting point is. I used to not really know when I was starting to spiral. I would figure it out when I was already at the bottom and had
Uh,
already finished.
oh, that's classic. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So now I notice if I'm a little
You gotta start
short-tempered
seeing how
or
you like. Oh,
yeah. Yeah,
there's some
but you have
signs.
exactly, but you got to be self-aware and sometimes tough love does wake you up to that
Yes.
self-awareness because you think like what a jerky thing to say, but then you have to sit with yourself and be like, wait a minute, I have those not so great parts and I have to acknowledge those. I can't be holier than thou and act like I have it all together.
Mm,
I do this and I need to work on it. And without self awareness, I think that is how people get stuck because they swap out self awareness for learned helplessness or being in the victim mentality. So instead of doing that, we want to try to reflect on some things that we need to work on, but we have to have a balance. We don't want to beat ourselves up, but we also don't want to give ourselves a pass to be a jerk. We got to find like that in between. And that's what I'm learning about mental health is it literally is all about balance. You
Yeah.
just have to balance things.
Balance and consistency.
Yes, consistency for sure. And that's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard for depression and anxiety to have that consistency. It's so hard. We were talking before this, and I relate to a lot of the stuff that you're saying with routines and stuff to other people. They're like, yeah, you can get up and brush your teeth, you shower, you take out your clothes for work, or you do this or that. For people like you and I,
Mm.
we have to like literally tell ourselves that, like, Carolyn, you need to go brush your teeth. It's like parenting yourself
Yeah, you,
almost.
you do. You do have to parent
It
yourself.
is.
Yeah.
So I wish sometimes, and when I get stuck in those, I don't feel normal. I often wonder, like, what is it like to wake up in the morning and like just like
Yeah.
start your day? Or like, what is it like to sleep for 8 hours? What is it like to do
Yeah.
this? What is it like to do that? But then I reel myself back in. I'm like, hey, that's their journey. This is mine. And while I do envy them, maybe this is what makes me me. But I do get in those little phases where I'm like, what is that like? Am I the normal one here? Or like what's going on?
Yeah, my biggest thing is like I've never been the best with like routine, but the thing is I started thinking about it. I'm like when I was a kid, I had a routine. I would you were talking about like brush your teeth, take a shower, whatever, go to school or go to do
Right.
whatever we got to do, and it was very like structured. But once I got out of that structure, because
Yeah.
my my issues really started to spiral when I got out of when I was in college and when I got out of college. Because once I had that, that independence, and
Yeah.
I didn't have that, that structure. I didn't have like, my parents, like, hey, you need to get out of bed, like do
Right.
something,
Right.
like, and I I kind of abused it in a way
Yeah.
and created bad habits, and now I'm like, oh man, I don't even like, and then also just yeah, depression and yeah, don't sometimes I just get like it's almost like I get like a I'm really bad with mornings, so like it can be really rough for me to get my day started because it's like we got a lot, like it's like every
Yeah.
we got it's like my body knows like that we got a lot going, like that
Yeah.
we're gonna have to like fight through today to get through the day. And
Yeah.
sleep is such a very it's an obviously it's a necessary thing. It's like food, like with people
Yeah.
with eating disorders. You still have to eat.
Yeah.
Like I still have to
Yep.
sleep. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, I'll stay up too late or I'll sleep in. Like I don't do it all the time. I don't do it as much as I used to. I've gotten a lot better, but it's tough. Like
It is. But you know what, too? I think as you were explaining that, it makes sense, especially like if you have mental health struggles. Think about it. When we're growing up, we're basically brushing our teeth and taking showers because we're being told to do
yeah,
that. We're not being told this is how you care for yourself. So, like you, like once I got on my own, it's not like I needed someone to remind me to shower and brush my
yeah,
teeth and stuff, but it's just you look at it as a chore if someone hasn't taught you that you are worthy of taking care of yourself. You're
yeah,
worthy of having the best health and not smelling or having grody teeth. Like you're worth being healthy. But I think when we grow up doing those things because we're told, we have to also be told that this is how you take care of your body. Like my son, like he thinks taking a shower is like a punishment. I'm like, no, dude, you have to be
yeah.
clean. You got to
That's a
take
little
care
boy
of
thing for
yourself.
sure. That's a boy
Yeah,
thing.
like
Yeah,
brushing your teeth, like these things are not punishments.
yeah,
Like this, it's a part of life. It's a part of how you care for yourself. So I think to the way we're raised. As a kid, you do need to be explained that. As a kid, I just figured I know I had to be clean, but it's like you're telling me I have to shower, so that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
If it was up to me as a kid, I probably would have showered like once a month.
Yeah. What's the reasoning behind this? Like,
Right, right. Like you don't fully grasp that. So I think some of that carries over into adulthood. I think if you struggle with your mental health a little bit, because self-care is such a big part of mental health.
and sometimes,
And
oh,
yeah.
sorry.
No, no, I'm done.
And sometimes you gotta learn certain things yourself too.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
like I'll just give this example. Not everyone's religious, but I grew up Catholic and going to church and went to Catholic school, did all that, and it's like I got like Catholicism like not shoved down my throat,
yeah,
but like it was like a big part of my life.
yeah,
And um, once I got that freedom, I was like, yeah, I'll go to church. And then I just like stopped, and then I
yeah,
went away from the church for a long time, and then now I'm like back because I used to like kind of dread going to church on
yeah,
Sundays, and because I felt like it wasn't really my choice to go there, and
yeah,
now I'm going back, and it's my choice to go back,
yeah,
and I'm like, now I understand why this is important. Uh,
yes,
because my parents could explain that to me till they were blue in the face. It
yeah,
wouldn't have got through to me. Like there's certain stuff you have to experience
yeah,
by yourself. Like then
absolutely.
that's one of them for me because they tried to explain it, and but it's one of those things, and it's the same thing with like getting clean or getting sober or whatever you want to call it. Um, you could tell somebody, hey, like like this is what you're doing wrong. This is what you need to do, or this is what I recommend you do. But until they like really have that epiphany moment or realization that they have a problem, like that's the first step. Uh,
Yeah,
and they're not going to do anything about it. Um,
yeah,
they have to learn themselves and have that feeling of being like, oh man, like it's time.
yeah. It's my choice. I'm choosing this. Yeah,
Yeah, I call it my like when I stop drinking, I call it my retirement from partying.
yeah,
I'm just like I just hung up the I don't know what
yeah.
not
The drinking
gloves.
cleats, the drinking
Yeah,
cleats.
yeah. I hung up my drinking cleats and I'm done.
Right.
It's a good run.
Good run.
Good
Yeah,
run.
I hear
Yeah,
ya. Right.
with
Good by
quotes.
different standards, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Right. But yeah, and that's also another thing like I don't think I would be able to like get a grasp on my mental health if I was still using substances like just because I mean obviously I take medication, and if I'm taking that medication as prescribed and also using
Right.
other stuff, it's going to counteract, and I'm not going to be
Yeah.
able to see what actually works for me.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
and I'm one of those people that knows that I have to be on meds. Like
Yeah.
I've tried not to be, and it doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
It does not turn out well. So yeah, I have no shame with the medication. I used to be not ashamed of it, but I used to be like, oh, maybe I wish I could, like
Yeah.
I would take them with like the very minimum, but at this point in time, it's like whatever's gonna help me, like become a better person and do
Absolutely.
accomplish my goals, then
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was on medication, I think when my son had to been like one or two, I was on antidepressants, but it helped me for the time it needed to help
Yeah,
me. But for me personally, I've been able to do okay without it. However, if I ever did feel the need to seek that out again, I would. That's my stance on pretty much everything. I'm good on my own right now, but I'm also more aware of my limits. And if I felt like I just couldn't handle it on my own, I would definitely seek out a therapist or medication. It's just, whatever works for the individual, basically.
Yeah, there's not a cookie cutter design
No,
of
there's
what to do.
not.
And
It
it just depends on the mental illness as well.
absolutely, absolutely, because there are so many different strategies, there's so many different kinds of therapies and all that stuff that there really is something for everybody. You just have to find what works for you and understand that it might take several different strategies.
Some of it is, I mean, almost all of it is trial. There's a lot of trial and error. Trust me,
Absolutely.
I've done a lot of different types of therapy, and it's some of it didn't, some of it worked a little bit, some of it didn't
Yeah.
work at all, some of it made it worse. Like, not worse, but it didn't really help.
Yeah.
Like I actually did last year, I did ketamine therapy,
Really?
and because I kept hearing about it, and I
Yeah.
talked to my psychiatrist about it, and mainly it's for depression. That's like the main reason. Like most people, that's I think that's what they've cleared it for.
Okay.
Um, and I mean, I do have depression, but I also have OCD, and the OCD can cause depression. It kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah. Yep.
So I tried to do that, and it did not work for me. I did 5 sessions, and it just I feel like it almost made it worse. Um,
Yeah.
and but I tried it, and I know that that's not a good therapy, like not a good way to go about therapy for me. It's just not.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was an expensive lesson, but yeah, yeah. I
But
I learned that yeah, that's not work for me, and I try to let people know. I don't tell people don't do ketamine therapy, but I also at the same time, it's like therapists I've talked to about it and psychiatrists I've talked to about it afterwards were like, yeah, that's probably not the right call for you. That I wouldn't have recommended that. And like,
yeah.
yeah, I feel like it was kind of like, and you got to watch it with certain psychiatrists. They push certain things, and like that's their thing. Like
Yeah.
this is the flavor of the week. Like, we're gonna push this. Like, that's you got to watch out for that. That's a huge red flag.
Yeah.
And there's like, you know, that's the thing is though, they're like, if you feel like you have a bad therapist or a bad psychiatrist and you're not getting along with them, or you
Yeah.
think they're a quack, whatever, get rid of them and
Yep.
get a new one first. Don't fire them yet, because there's
Yeah.
probably going to be a gap before you
Yeah.
can see another
Yeah.
one.
Yep.
You live in the Midwest, you know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It took me to see my psychiatrist now. I think it was what was that? 5 months. I had to wait to see him the first
Ah,
time. Yeah,
yeah.
it's just brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. Yeah, that is, and that's the thing too about if you live in a rural area or just it
Mm,
really depends on like the area of the country that you live in, like
yes.
how advanced, if you will, they are with having different types of therapies, or is it just like you live in a town and you only have the option of three therapists?
Yeah.
You're kind of stuck with what is there, for lack of a better way. But yeah, people need to educate themselves. And certainly from like a research standpoint, people have to understand that now I'm not knocking some of these newer methods for treating mental health, but people, the lay person needs to understand the number of years that you need to have in follow-up studies to really determine the effectiveness of some of these treatments. I mean, following a cohort for like 1 year does not even begin to tell you the picture of whether or not that's going to be effective. You got to follow these people maybe like 10 years to
Yeah.
even know. And so while people should seek out alternative methods if what's here isn't working, just be very, very careful and understand that while there might be positive findings for some of these things, you also have to look at, was it, what race were these people? What age were they? What gender were they? What is their background history? How long, there's so many different little things that most people don't consider.
Mhm.
They see is like, yes, this is the number one effective
Yeah.
so and so, and it might be for like five people, but generally speaking, is it going to be right for most people? And
Yeah.
not always. So you just have to be careful. I'm not knocking any of these new things. In fact, I'm
Yeah.
glad they have them.
Yeah, me too.
However, you just got to be careful. That's my little lecture moment.
That's your soapbox.
Yeah.
No, I mean you're exactly right. You have to be careful, but you have to keep an open mind as well, because
Yes.
like
It's
certain,
that balance.
yeah,
You got to
certain,
be cautious, but also open-minded.
yeah, because just like trial and error.
Yeah, because you don't want to be without support either, like you said. I
Yeah,
can only imagine how horrible that was having to wait that long. It's a long
yeah.
time.
Luckily, I was able to find somebody in between. So basically, I just needed like med management,
Yeah, yeah,
and I was able to find somebody in between. Luckily, but
yeah.
it was still a pain.
Out of
Um,
curiosity,
yeah.
um, is it hard for you to have to like rebuild a rapport with like a new therapist after you've kind of maybe been like comfortable with another one?
Uh, yeah, but I've done it quite a few
So many
times.
times. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, I've been seeing this therapist probably 6 months, maybe.
Okay.
Um, See, what I did is, um, when it comes to OCD, there's certain treatments that are more effective, and there is a
Yeah.
lot of research behind that,
Yeah.
and that's exposure response prevention. And I was told when I got out of treatment to use the International OCD Foundation website, because you therapists can go on there and get certified. And
Oh.
so I found a therapist, but she is like 2.5, 3 hours away from me. So
Uh,
I'm seeing her virtually. Um,
okay.
so I recommend, like, if you are somebody that's like you're looking in the area and you can't find anyone, look on look online. Like Psychology
Yeah.
Today is a good website.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
and yeah, if you have OCD, the International OCD Foundation is a great website, because she had to go through a process of being approved on there. It wasn't just, she couldn't just be any therapist.
Right. Right.
They had to make sure she was like, knew what she was talking about and knew about OCD. And that's what I do, is I do virtual therapy. I mean, obviously there's some drawbacks to it, but it's,
Yeah,
for the most part, it's way better than going to see somebody that doesn't really know what they're talking about.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, that's true because there's so many different variations of mental illness and different combinations. And yeah, it sometimes you have to find like a specialized person, which, like you
Yeah.
said, can be hard, especially depending on where you live. And you know what? I think it, COVID was horrible for our mental health.
Yes. But
However, yeah, the positive is the virtual therapy picking
correct.
up. That is one of the more positive.
The silver lining.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because that's been huge, because I've been doing virtual therapy for I think it's even before COVID I was doing it. But it's very beneficial,
Yeah.
because it opens up those doors to like just more options.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because in my area, like, I don't even live in a small area. I'm not in rural Iowa. I'm in like a
Right.
city, like city of 100,000, but like next to other cities. Like I live in what's called the Quad Cities, and
Yeah,
there's four cities that each like have a significant amount of people. Let's see, we're talking like 400,000 people, and I couldn't find an OCD specialist like to save my life.
right.
I found people that had OCD in like in their bio, but that wasn't what they specialized in.
Yeah,
And that's another reason why I'm like, man, I should go back to school because that could specialize in that and
yeah,
fill the fill the need. But I'm getting there. I'm getting
yeah.
there.
You'll get there when you're ready.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I've been in school for a long time.
Hey, how old was I? Had been out of school for a minute when I went to grad school, but it was online. So
Hmm.
that made it a lot easier. And it's like riding a bike, honestly. And I was not the greatest student the first time I attempted college. And I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of glad that I went back later in life with a little maturity under my belt because I like thrived and excelled like beyond when I was there the first time. So
Yeah, you never know.
yeah,
Um,
you never know. But it's a big commitment to make too. It's a big
yeah,
time commitment and all that.
yeah, commitments like that are it's scary.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm a appointment rescheduler. I will reschedule a dentist appointment, a doctor's appointment a good two or three times before I actually will
Mm,
go. It's me and appointments.
yeah,
It's rough. It's a rough thing.
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
When it comes to like your mental health and what you're doing to get better, are you currently in therapy, or you currently are recently in therapy, or what have you done to kind of work on, some of that trauma, some of that, or like all of that trauma, or most of that trauma. I don't know how to word that properly, but some of the trauma in your past that you've had to deal with.
The short answer is I'm winging it a little bit.
Okay, okay,
But
honest. Good to be honest.
the long, more serious answer is that because I have gone through a lot of trauma, I have not always been in therapy after those situations, and I should have. So I'm definitely the poster child for someone telling you if it is your strategy to get better, please go to some type of therapy if you've been through any kind of trauma. Um, Looking back, I wish after I was sexually assaulted, I really wish I would have gone
Hmm.
to therapy and stuck with it because that truly was the catalyst for literally 2 decades of trauma and high stress. And I think had I gone to therapy, I'm not saying the other things wouldn't have necessarily happened. However, that would have been one trauma down, so to speak, that I had processed. My problem was that I let multiple traumas pile up on top of
Mm,
each other. Don't do that. And like I shared, I've been on medication. Now I'm kind of just doing my own thing in terms of self-help books, being physically active, watching my diet,
hmm.
really trying to focus on sleep. Boundaries has been a huge thing for me. I've had to cut out a lot of people here recently because it was not good for my mental health. For me, it was more like daily maintenance things that I needed
Yeah.
to do at this point in my life because honestly, a lot of my trauma has now been past for a decade or two.
Hmm.
It's not really recent. So a lot of that stuff from the past I have processed. Now the newer stuff, I'm still diving into that. But I just really make sure, like you said, like when I get to that point where I have to talk to someone, I'm going to talk to somebody. I'm not waiting till the last minute. I think a big misconception with mental health is that we must wait until we're in crisis mode
Yeah, you
to
don't.
seek help. And no, you don't. It's just like your physical health. If you have inklings that you have pneumonia, you're not likely going to just sit there and wait until you're on your deathbed. Now, some people do, but it's the same
Yeah.
thing with your mental. I am too. I'm using like a bad example, but
No,
the
like,
point,
yeah, but
you just shouldn't wait till the last minute because some of these,
you don't
I
have
was
to.
there. I didn't want to be here anymore because I waited till I was in crisis mode. And some people, unfortunately and sadly, don't ever make it out of that crisis mode. So everyone, please know when you notice even the slightest thing is off, that's what therapists are there for. Speak to a friend, journal, do something, but just know that mental health is like a daily maintenance, a daily upkeep, just as if you would take vitamins, you drink your water. Well, you got to do those things for your mental health also, but you have to
Yeah.
just make sure you're taking care of your emotions and your mental well-being instead of waiting until you're at the point of possibly no return. And I just think it's also important to know I had someone from high school a couple weeks ago actually on Facebook was like, "Oh, what are you recovering from?" I was like, "Mostly depression." And they were like, "Wow, I never really thought you would have been somebody that would have had to deal with that." And that speaks to the scariest part of mental health to me is that you have millions of people out here getting college degrees, working a 9 to 5, raising a family, upkeeping a marriage. And on the inside, they are one phone call, one email away from a breakdown.
Yep.
You look like I'm a high functioning depression, anxiety person.
Yeah.
You would never know. You would never even know.
Yeah.
Now, if you were at home with me after that display and performance,
Hmm.
you would definitely know.
Get home,
So,
hang the mask up. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, it's just there's so many things, and that's why it's important for everyone, if you feel comfortable, to share your story and speak out about these things because the more we know about mental health, I think the more likely we will be to start seeking out help and support at the beginning instead of waiting until the end.
Yeah, I like your comparison to physical health. Like if I like for example, like recently I messed up my foot and I was like, man, I think I can deal. I think it's fine. It's just sprained. Like I'll be fine. And then like
Yeah,
2 days in, I'm like, I better go get this looked at. And luckily I didn't break it, but I at least got it checked out. And
yeah,
they, gave me some tips for healing.
right,
And
right.
I mean, some I knew, but some of them were like, okay, I didn't, think of that. And I it wasn't like my foot wasn't about to fall off, but
Right,
before I went,
right.
I was in pain, yeah, um, and the pain wasn't going away, so I needed to see
Yeah,
what I needed to do to get to heal. And I'm
absolutely.
still healing. Foot injuries are brutal. I
Yeah.
never really have had. I've sprained my ankle really bad before, but this is like literally like a bone in my foot that I felt like I
Oof.
broke. Yeah. Um, from coming off stage doing comedy.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Oh,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Yeah, and the thing about mental health is like clearly you would not have probably made it years and years and years without addressing it. Mental health, unfortunately, some of us are able to
Oh
go
yeah.
years and years and years before we really start diving into things. And that's not good. It's good to maybe
But
have
that's like
that.
walls and more walls and more walls and more.
Yes. And then you have to break all those walls down to
Yep.
get to the nitty-gritty of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think if we start looking at our mental health like our physical health, that could really change those things. But also, it's not independent of physical health. The reason I struggled with body image and developed an eating disorder wasn't in a vacuum, it wasn't separate from my mental health. I had
Hmm.
mental health issues that were unprocessed and stuff that sort of put me at risk for that eating disorder to develop. And speaking to relationships, it's like I have so many things on a daily basis. I have to deal with eating. I got to deal with this. I got to deal with that. And it's like, if you don't find that right person who understands those things, it's really hard. It is hard, but there's people out here. If anybody's out here wondering, will I ever be in a relationship? Yeah, you will. There are people out there who will understand you
Hmm.
and accept you. I've met those people. I've been in relationships like that. There are people like that out there. So don't give up hope. If you're someone who's wanting to be in a relationship someday, it'll definitely happen. But that's why we got to cut off all that extra baggage and cut off that stuff that's negatively affecting us so that we have room for those like positive, supportive relationships.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the more baggage, more of that we can cut off, the better. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're getting a little bit on where are we at on time? That's what I don't like about Zoom. But I wanted to kind of wrap things up here, and I really appreciate you coming on today. I wanted to kind of ask. I've been trying to ask this question to most of my guests. I've been forgetting a little bit, but that's the ADD kicking in. So, but I wanted to know, like, if you were to, not to put you on the spot or anything, but if you were to, if somebody's listening and they're struggling, they're having a rough time, what would you recommend that they do? Not that you're an expert, but like
Right.
just as someone else who has, experienced mental health issues.
Well, there's one of two ways you could handle that. If the thought of seeking out like professional help is very intimidating, start with a trusted friend. Start
Hmm.
with a trusted friend. I know that I have a handful of people that if I were struggling mentally and they picked up on that, they would also be there to kind of give me some guidance, like, hey, maybe have you thought of talking to somebody? And matter of fact, that's how I got on medication, is I was talking to my friends and they're like, have you tried this? So seek out a trusted friend. Um, Also, I like to bring up your primary health care physician.
Hmm.
My primary healthcare physician does mental health screenings at every appointment that I go to, even if it's like a general checkup.
Hmm.
And be honest, I have on my medical file that I struggle from depression and anxiety.
Definitely be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, be honest. And they hear these things all the time. Like they're not judging you. And if they are, find a new doctor.
Yeah.
But my primary care physician, whenever I go in, they're how are you feeling? How is this? How is that? Start there. They will refer you to somebody. And then I guess lastly, there are a lot of resources within your community. I worked for a mental health organization, and my job was actually to update their website and call around to the different therapists to
Hmm.
update what their specialties were, whether they took insurance, this or that. And there's a lot of community resources and help within your community. Um, that you might have access to. I know where I live, I think it's like 211 is the number you call for those types of things.
Hmm.
If you're like me and you're sometimes afraid to let people know you need help, you can do your own research on the internet. I would not recommend that as a first choice necessarily. I would recommend it if you're looking for a therapist.
Yeah.
But I would not try to diagnose yourself or
Yeah.
try to prescribe yourself things based on what's on the internet. For those types of things, please talk to a professional.
Hmm.
Um, and if you don't, just be careful because I know there's plenty of people out here who don't trust medical professionals for whatever reason. Just please do your research. And again, maybe seek out that trusted friend or whatever. But there's
988.
yeah, yeah, there's a lot of resources, whether it be friends, family, professionally. out there, and finally it's going to be okay. I have started and restarted the healing process a plethora of times,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. You can start over as many times as you want
Hmm.
and at any stage that you want. But just know it really is going to be okay. I'm finally coming out of a hellish mental health year, and I'm
Hmm.
okay. I'm doing okay. So just hang in there. Just hang in there.
Yeah. It's takes time,
Yeah.
patience sometimes,
Yeah,
which is tough when you're
it
really in the
is.
thick of it. But
Look, right. And I'm not saying this from somebody who's got like peachy keen life. I've been in the thick of it. And because I've been in the thick of that, I can also tell you that it can get better.
yeah,
It's
same.
just,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I appreciate you coming on today. That was a great conversation and getting to know you a little bit better. And good, it's good to have another online advocacy friend. So, and
absolutely.
also you're in Michigan, so you're not super far from me. So maybe one day we'll meet in person. So that'd be
We can
cool.
have some kind of like mental health misfit convention or something.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
We can start our own crime con, like those con things that they have. We can have like a huge
Mental health advocate
conference.
con.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot
Yeah,
of
that'd
us,
be
so that'd be
yeah,
cool.
for sure.